So last week we looked at the OSSC, and today we are going to be looking at a Mega Drive 1. It's one I bought off eBay. There's my Model 2 there, as you can see. That's non-modified. This is modified. So this has the power region. I believe it's a switch or something. I'm not fully up on the whole technicals of it as such, but it's got a power. Well, let's just show it. It's easier just to show you. So we hold the reset switch, right? So you got your PAL. Orange is NSTC US, and then NSTC Japanese. So this is going to be kind of interesting because I've played around this. I also have a RGB SCART lead to the TV. It will keep switching back to my Xbox because I'm downloading Gears at the moment. And also, I didn't know this, that the Mega Drive only puts out mono sound. And also, this version apparently is the one that doesn't have, I don't know if it's copy protection or there's a licensee type screen thing at when you boot the Mega Drive up. I don't fully understand it, but it's something to do with locking out certain region cards. But as you can see, this will be quite interesting, and those are the list of games that I have. Actually, these aren't all mine, these are actually some of these are my mates. But we're going to go through them one by one and just see which ones run. So, first game up is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Obviously, we are running a modified Mega Drive with a 50Hz, 60Hz US and Japanese. So, it's got the ability to switch between the different regions. First, we're in PAL, so we will start with PAL. I've had a few little issues with the system. It doesn't like switching regions sometimes once it's in a certain region, like for instance Quackshot. My belief at the beginning was that I would be able to, that I couldn't, it wouldn't allow me to switch to 60Hz once it had booted into 50Hz. You just get the weird screen scrolling effect. But I discovered that you just need to boot into 60Hz to begin with in the game, and there's really no issue after that. But it's fascinating what this thing can do. It also has the jail bar mod fix, which I don't fully understand, but it's got something to do with removing the traces or some of the traces of the chip, so they don't do what's called crosstalk. But again, it's kind of out of my realm of understanding in a lot of ways, to be honest. But I mean, I got this RGB cable from I think the shop on Amazon was called Cool Novelties. I'm now going to switch to 60Hz so you can see that. And also the music on this has been optimized, so it's not quite as fast as the US music from hearing it playing back. But unlike Sonic 1 where that runs massively slow, I think the percentage is something like 17.5% slower than the US region. So this is the game running at 60Hz. As you can see, the yellow light indicates it's in 60Hz US, and the green light indicates 60Hz Japanese. Although, from the testings I've done of the games I've got, it makes sod all difference whether it's in Japanese or American. Although I have been told that, for instance, like certain PAL games, like Sonic 3 apparently is one of them. If you try and run that game in the US region, apparently it will run, but apparently there may be some screen scrolling weirdness. So, for instance, if I switch, you'll see what I mean. So, as you can see, no real difference. Now, if I switch to PAL, so you can see the difference. But it's very interesting. Depending on what game it is. I said, like, for instance, like as a Quackshot, for instance, that will not. As I said, it will run, but you have to change it to the US region first. But certain PAL carts apparently have issues running, and certain ones will run, but they run too fast. Like, for instance, one of my favourites is an Amiga classic that had a port to Mega Drive, Super Nintendo. I believe it was on the, I don't know if it was the Atari Lynx or CD, but it was the Chaos Engine, which apparently runs too fast. The one game that I have seen that I find kind of weird is actually Road Rash. I don't know. The game to me feels like it runs. The frame rate's better for sure. Got no qualms with that at all. I can't really argue with that. But the music sounds too fast. Now, whether or not that's got something to do with another power optimization to make the game, but the music just doesn't sound right in the 60 hertz version. I don't know if that's just me, nostalgia talking maybe, but I don't know. It just doesn't sound quite right. But I'll let you be the judge of that. But this is kind of fascinating. In Europe, we really did get shafted on a lot of stuff. The only good thing we have is RGB is the best possible quality you can get. I believe it's... I mean, I'm not sure because I've not used S-Video. Well, I don't think I've used it, but as far as I'm aware. But RGB is easily the best way. If you want the best quality connection, this really is very, very difficult to play this with one hand. This is really the best possible connection you can get, unless you want a like a HDMI mod to your Mega Drive. But obviously, that I don't know how expensive that would actually be. I use the OSSC when I'm not doing anything like serious, like streaming or anything. I'd like to try and obviously provide better quality for the streams, and obviously I've got an Elgato 4K capture device on my computer, so I can essentially just record and stream as I please. So we are running in the 50 Hz power region. This is one of those games, unlike say like Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and a lot of other variations of other different games out there, it doesn't actually feel slow at all. This feels absolutely fine. There's really, I really have no complaints with this game. And obviously a lot of these games, obviously people say, well, especially in the US or so, well, the games run too slow, which for some games is true, but I don't think so for this game at all. But you're going to see the difference in a minute. Obviously screen crunch is always an issue with PAL games. So what we will do is we will switch to 60 Hertz. Obviously, I do like the presentation in terms of the screen crunch being gone. It looks really, really good. And it is immensely difficult to play this game with one hand. But obviously, you can sort of see the difference. It runs. There's very, very. This is very, very difficult, and I can't shoot. Turn the other way, you twat. So obviously, no issues with this one at all. Runs at both 50 and 60 Hz. I can switch it to Japanese region. Makes no difference at all. So very odd with that one, runs quite fine. Again, results tend to vary depending on what game you're trying to run. So Golden Axe 2, I like the Golden Axe games quite a lot. The first one is just embedded in my memory, mainly just due to the fact that it was one of those games I played at a cafe in Gillingham, Kent, down the high street there. And they used to have this game bigger back of the cafe playing Golden Axe, and I used to play it quite a lot. Second game is pretty good. Third game, this is also 2-player, but obviously you need 2 controllers to get 2-player. The game is just more of the same, really much. It's good fun. It's a damn sight better than Altered Beast. I know some people love Altered Beast, and I've played it, but it's pretty naff, really, sadly to say. I have played through it a few times. but I know people do adore Altered Beast because it was one of those release games. I didn't actually get a Mega Drive until it was very late. I played a hell of a lot of Mega Drive, but I didn't actually own one until about 96. So quite a long time between the two. So as you can see, like it does. This is one that does really need that. Does benefit a great deal from the 60 hertz speed increase for sure. Now we will switch to 60 hertz. I do like the increased screen, this fact there's less screen crunch. That just looks a lot better. Again, the music. I mean, again, it's some of it's just memories and nostalgia, but Alright, then we'll switch to Japanese. No difference. So really, US and Japanese most of the time it would appear seems to be exactly the same in just about every way. There doesn't seem to be a great deal of difference at all. I can't play with any skill when just using one hand. It's just impossible. Also realise how that sounded. Anyway. Yeah, so this one runs no problem whatsoever. In fact, the music runs... To me, it feels like the music's running a tad on the fast side, to be honest. But again, I mean, it's a very playable experience. There's really... I can't really complain about it. It's a very playable experience. And the Mega Drive 1 it's just an awesome looking system. Alright, yeah, it's, you know... It is sort of an 80s, late 80s, early 90s system. But I mean, it's just something about it. You know, so that runs really, really fine. No issues with that at all. Now we will switch. It's an odd one. Maybe it's just me, but I just feel like some games feel like they run too fast in 60 hertz. But I'll be quite curious when I get some more games to test out as well, and see what else I can actually find that has issues running at 50 or 60 hertz. Okay, so next game up is Twin Hawk. Kind of reminds me of Action Fighter on the Master Systems. It's that type of game. So obviously running at 60 hertz at the moment. I'm gonna suck at this most probably. As you can see, this doesn't feel particularly that slow game-wise, if I'm honest. We switch to... Right now we switch to an STC. And as you can see, I'm sucking royally. Yeah, they doesn't feel any different at all. This one feels like this one was optimized for PAL to some degree. God, this is difficult play, and yeah. Yes, there's no real difference in that particular one. I will... Sorry, just rub it right in. And switch to Japanese. It's impossible to play while filming. It's just impossible. As you can see, I'm sucking at that, so I'm going to leave that one that. So yeah, Twin Hawks, no issues whatsoever. Running on a modified PAL Mega Drive. Interesting in all its same as well. The simplest of things are the most difficult things to do when you're actually recording off a phone. So I probably should get like a tripod or something. Now we're going to get to one of the more interesting games in the. When I was messing with this yesterday, I don't think this is controversial to say. Road Rash, tremendously good game. Still holds up in some regards. Obviously, graphically, it doesn't in terms of what it looks like by today's standards. But the soundtrack on this is absolutely awesome. Now, what I'm going to try and do this is I'm just going to try and demonstrate. Hopefully, it'll just run it'll run a demo, and I'll be able to. Because the soundtrack on this game is absolutely awesome. There's actually a Master System version, if you can believe it, as well, and apparently it's not actually a bad port, considering going from a 16-bit to an 8-bit port. Usually, there are quite a lot of discrepancies, to say the least. Hopefully in a minute the game will switch to a demo mode and it will show you the game running. There's something about this, I don't know what it is. I don't know if this game was optimized for PAL or not, but like the music just sounds really, really good, and it doesn't sound slow or at all. When you hear it in a minute, this might be controversial, but this game sounds too fast in 60 Hz. Now, I don't know if that's in terms of the music anyway. I don't know if that's just because it's a PAL cartridge or not. But obviously the frame rate is lower, obviously. So when you switch to 60 Hz, it does look better and it moves more fluidly, obviously, and more responsive, which is cool. But man, it could just be me in nostalgia talking, but you check this out when I switch to 60 Hz. It's too fast. Now, obviously, you look at the frame rate. The frame rate has picked up a little bit. It's definitely a lot smoother, and it looks nice, and it's probably the best way to play in some regards. But the music is too fast. Way too fast. And what they've managed to produce out of the Mega Drive, considering the limited hardware, is pretty impressive. So yeah, that's I don't know if that's a controversial statement or not to make, but the 60 Hz just sounds too fast. I don't know whether this PAL cartridge was optimized for 50 Hz or not, but it just doesn't sound right. Now, if we just switch to Japanese, I don't imagine it'll make any difference. No difference at all. Very interesting. This is an interesting one. This is a double pack of Micro Machines and Psycho Pinball. I have noticed that the ones that say only designed to play on a certain system will actually say that on them. I've never ever even played Psycho Pinball, so I haven't got a clue other than the fact it's pinball. And we should get the English, yes. Interesting. It didn't even give me the option to actually choose between the two games. Maybe I need to reset it. The Abyss. Okay. Let's change. Again, not really any real difference. That's right, Mega Drive. Embarrassed my score. Right, let's reset. Right, okay. Okay, so now we're on Micro Machines. And it stretches the screen out, as you can see. Slightly tragic in some regards. Yep, let's take out Bonnie. This game's just a wee bit on the loud side, and everyone's played Microsinge at some point, I would imagine. So, and I'm being lapped. Give me a chance. So really, this one doesn't really have that much of a difference in terms of an effect, other than the fact that I'm being absolutely embarrassed by the AI. Can I get any dignity back? No, I can't. My dignity has been destroyed. So switch to Japanese. Just rub that in, thanks. As you can see, so that makes absolutely subtle difference in terms of playability. It's an odd one. Micro Machines is, I don't think it's a game that's been really around for, I believe they did do a new version in the last 10 years or something, I believe. But this could be an interesting one, because this is actually a Genesis game that I got with my Model 2 Mega Drive. So I have no idea what's going to happen putting in. This should be interesting, because when I ran this on my Mega Drive Model 2, it ran perfectly flawlessly, no issues whatsoever. And this is just I think it's just a shooting game, essentially. Just I believe there's a scope you can use with it as well. Yeah, Menacer. I do remember the name. I never had one, though, ironically. And also even more ironic, because you can't use those types of guns with these types of TVs anyway. You require a CRT. It just doesn't work. So the days before CGI graphics. Yeah, get to the point. It's gonna make me watch all of this, isn't it? Given the fact this is a Genesis game, I mean, it doesn't feel slow at all. It doesn't feel particularly unresponsive in any way at all. One of the particular ones that's quite interesting is Road Rash. And I've got, I wouldn't say an interesting insight into that, but I am going to say this is one game where I actually prefer it in 50, but I will get to that in a bit. Let's see what happens when we switch it from the PAL region to the US region before I die. No, this one... Hello. This one looks like it's been optimized to run in PAL, because it doesn't feel any different. Music doesn't feel any different at all either. Very interesting. I have been told that if you put some American games into a PAL system, you can have some technical issues and stuff. So what I'll do is I'll let the demo play. This would be so much easier if I had an actual camera. It isn't one on like a tripod. Maybe one day. So obviously we're running in the PAL region. It's a very difficult game, this as well. Probably made more difficult by... Well, saying that actually might be easier in 50 Hz, given the fact it runs actually slower. And then if I switch to 60... I have been warned though, there are certain games that you get like a weird sort of weird screen scrolling effect where the game just won't run. It'll just keep, the screen goes up and down. It doesn't really give you an actual picture, which is kind of odd. But again, this is all kind of new stuff to me. And I think our Mega Drive seems to have crapped the bed a little bit. But as you can see, so Mercs runs in, well, the PAL version of Mercs runs in 50 or 60 hertz. Load it up, and this is a bit of a, I don't know what to kind of describe this game. It's a bit of an oddball game, but it's just a side-scrolling game with I don't know, a sorceress or something with a dragon and just magic. Obviously we're running currently at 50 hertz. I'll stop hitting A because I keep getting myself killed. It feels a bit slow, I suppose. Then we switch to 60 hertz. Again, the music doesn't really sound any faster on this, to be honest. It sounds like the 50 hertz has the same music. It's just a little bit faster, a little bit more responsive. There is one game on here that does actually produce some oddball sort of results, as I will show. It's part of a double pack as well, so it's absolutely impossible to play this game while holding a phone. As you can see, there is some screen judder at the top there, though, so interesting. The days where you didn't have to wait for games to load. I'll just switch to the Japanese. Don't think it make any difference at all. It doesn't. There is a bit of, as you look at the top, there is some weird screen shake though, as you can see. Yeah, there's a slightly up there. But generally, like, you know, would I recommend this? This modified Mega Drive I got off eBay from a seller was about 50 quid. Probably, I would probably say it's probably well worth it, to be honest. God damn it. I don't know if this game is worth it, if I'm honest. It's not, I think it's one of the more, it's not a stupidly expensive game, but it's getting up there, I know that much. As I did a video on this game many years ago, but it wasn't something that really appealed to me. But I can see some people liking this type of game. It's just not my bag, honestly. But yeah, as you can see, so it runs pretty flawlessly, to be honest. No issues with it. Ah, yes, the days when Electronic Arts had a soul. Many years ago, that. So this game, from the testing I've done, doesn't seem to make a great deal of difference. And it's got kick-ass music, as the Mega Drive games always have. Given what they're working with, they just seem to be able to produce some amazing things. Right, so let's switch to game. As you can see, graphics are not too bad for the day. It's very hard as well. Desert Strike, Urban Strike, and Jungle Strike. These are not easy games. If you want a challenging game, I mean, with this you have to pick up, obviously, fuel. I'm being shot at. I'm losing armor. They're not easy games at all. Let's switch to NSTC mode. Really, not that much difference. Doesn't feel any, maybe a little bit faster, but it doesn't, you know. If you want a challenging game, play this sometime. no real difference in what, depending on what region you actually change to. So I've played this. In fact, I did a video on this many years ago on the channel. In fact, right at the end of the game, the audio cut out for some reason. I have no idea to this day why it did that. But I like this game. This is it's not a difficult game, but it has a what's the word I'm looking for? It's very putting aside the word nostalgia. There's something about this game. It's just very nice. It's just a very pleasant game to play. It's not particularly that difficult, and the co-op on this game is actually very well thought out. The designers have done an amazing job of the way they've created everything. Like when you go under things, like Mickey can fit. Donald always gets stuck, so you need Mickey to pull him out. And there's like obstacles, like seesaws where one jumps on the other. So it's a it's a well recommended co-op game for anyone that enjoys these old school co-op games. So obviously, as you can see, we're running currently in 50 Hz. This game looks like, in the way it looks, kind of like Aladdin, and it just looks like it's had a lot of effort put into it. Just like the Aladdin Sega Mega Drive, Sega Genesis game. And see, as you can see, there's all sorts of co-op-y stuff you can do with it, and annoyingly stuff as well, which is always a good laugh. This game. Okay, so we'll switch to 60 Hz and. So again, music, more so music. Gameplay's clearly a little bit more responsive just looking at it. But it's not. This wouldn't bother me playing at 50 Hz for this one. It's really not that bad. But again, if you can play at 60, why not? It's as I said, this is 50 quid off eBay, and I don't really have. And here's the co-op things. I think these sort of things are quite interesting and quite creative. Okay, one of the last games on the list. This is a double pack. This is Quackshot and Castle Illusion. This is actually a friend's game. It's not actually mine. There's a few of these. I've got to trot round it here sometime. Castle of Illusion, obviously that has been re-released a few years back. So we'll start with that. This is the game most people remember when it comes to Mickey Mouse, I believe, when it comes to Disney on Mega Drive. I'm not that familiar with it. I have tried it. It's pretty simplistic, but pretty decent for what it is. It's a very good good little game. I've got a friend that absolutely adores this. I think you have to. It's so difficult to play this. It's like that. Okay. So as you can see, it's quite responsive. Now we switch to 60 Hz. So as you can see, this one again seems like it's been optimized, because I can't really tell any difference with the music. Obviously, the gameplay is a little bit more responsive. Mickey's a little bit faster with his movement speed, but nothing tremendously different, really. I'd really, if I was playing this, I wouldn't. I like the screen. Obviously, the screen crunch is gone, which is good. But I could quite happily play this at 50 Hz. It wouldn't really bother me that much. But this is kind of a classic. It's not one I'm that familiar with, but I know there are a lot of people that do. Obviously, they did do a Disney. There was a remake of this that came out, I believe, was it 360 era and PS3? I think I'm correct in thinking that. I could be wrong. But there really doesn't seem to be any difference when you No difference at all. Yeah, there's that. This game to me I perceive that it's been power optimized because it just doesn't make any difference, however you play it. What we'll do now is we'll reset. So this is a game I have never played properly through. I've watched a friend play a little bit of it. It's quite a. I prefer like the ones I've played with, like Donald Duck. The one that always comes to mind for me is the Lucky Diamond chapter starring Donald Duck. Very tricky game from memory. I remember being an immensely challenging game to play and immensely fun. We've got to go and like find Huey, Dewey, and Louie in different areas of the world. They're all like stuck in a dungeon or something in each different, like the Egyptian era and different civilizations you go to. This is an interesting one because this one will only, unless I change it, maybe if I change it as the game's booting, but this will not run in anything but PAL on my TV. And as you can see, my TV runs 60 Hz. Obviously, most people's TVs should run 60 Hz. I don't know if this has got something to do with this particular cartridge. But you watch this, as soon as I switch her over to the 60 Hz, watch what happens. It will not have it at all. And I'm going to not keep filming that, so it's going to make someone have a seizure. Probably myself. If we go to Japanese, as you can see, no difference at all. So there's definitely, maybe this one is literally coded just to run on a PAL system. But there is one other thing I can actually try saying that. If I turn it on, if I switch to the US region, okay, and see whether or not I can actually bypass whatever's going on there. Let's find out. Oh, maybe I can. Oh, I can. So maybe that's a region restriction or something. In theory. Yeah, because it seems to be working now, which is kind of cool. So that's something I didn't know. I did discover this yesterday, but obviously I hadn't had time really to play around with it. As I said, I do like the fact that it's a bigger screen. There's less screen crunch. You do get to see more of the pixels and stuff, which is cool. Let's just try and see if we can change it to Japanese and see what happens. No difference whatsoever. So, if you want to play Quackshot on a modified Mega Drive, you can do it. Just make sure to change the region before you boot the game up, and you won't have any issue. Don't try changing it once the game's booted, because it won't have it. That's got something that must have something to do with the cartridge, maybe some type of copyright or some type of region restriction. Interesting though. Interesting one way or the other. Okay, so Shinobi 3, Return of the Ninja Master. I'm not that familiar with this one. I'm more familiar with, is it Revenge of Shinobi? The one that came on the, I believe it was on the double pack. But I know that a lot of people actually really like Shinobi. It's not a game I'm not particularly that familiar with. I've played I think it's like the second level or the end of the second level where you're riding a horse and stuff. It's not a bad game. It might be one to actually try and maybe stream at some point. As you can see, again, this one to me doesn't feel that slow. Maybe that's just nostalgia talking from what I have very rarely played this, maybe once or twice. But it's very responsive in 50 Hz again. Maybe it's just the way I'm just used to that. Obviously, some games like Sonic, for instance, you notice it straight away. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, for instance. Again, the music on this is very... obviously, I've switched... Oh, god damn it. I've switched to 60 hertz. Seems a bit overly fast now to me, but I might be wrong about that. In the comments, you'll have to let me know what you think, because I'm very curious what people think. Obviously, nowadays, you want to play 60 hertz. It's just the way, everything... Most games run at 60 hertz now anyway. But, I don't know, the music sounds maybe a tad too fast now. But maybe that's just my 50 hertz bias, it's possible. Excuse my camera wonkiness if you can. As I said, it's very, very difficult to play this whilst trying to keep the camera as steady as possible. Stop shooting me. I'll just quickly switch to Japanese region. Makes no difference at all. So, as you can see, this game is incredibly playable in 50 Hz or 60 Hz, so it makes very little difference. I hope the video wasn't too jittery in terms of me moving. As I said, it was quite tricky to stay steady whilst filming this stuff. Obviously, I do think I should get like a tripod camera or something at some point. But what do you think? Are you a Mega Drive Model 1 fan, or do you prefer the Model 2? I'm always going to be a Model 1.